And I realized after joining the group, it is true. My mindset was aligned with this 20% of people. And the more I dealt with other people through networking, I just can't be partnering up with this 80% of people because essentially we're talking a different language.
Welcome to this episode of the success journey of real estate investors. Hi, my name is Brooke Ceballos Pinheiro. I'll be your host for today. The goal of our program is to meet with first-time deal makers and learn what Michael Blanc products or services help them along the way. Let's get to it. Today's special guest, we have Yosef Lee. Yo, Yosef, what's happening?
How are you, Brooke? I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, the pleasure is all mine. I'm so excited to hear about your journey. I had a little bit of time to look at your website and kind of check you out. So I'm very excited to learn more about you and your, everything you bring to the table and encompass. So to kick it off, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, what you're currently doing now in your investing business.
First of all, briefly speaking, I'm a South Korean immigrant. I am a lawyer, still W-2 professional, father of 2 girls, and I'm aspiring to take back the control of my time by being financially free, and that's part of my journey.
Beautiful. I love it. So can you let us know about how you got started on this journey? Because you have a W-2 and you're a lawyer, you're in the legal business. And back in the day, about when I was in college, I was a paralegal for criminal law and family law. And I can imagine the stresses you must go through. And I was an assistant. Okay. So kudos to you. And you have 2 daughters. So in this journey, how did you get started? How did you hear about Michael Blanc? And let's hear how that helped you with your first deal.
So, being a lawyer, very time consuming and time demanding, right? So I became a lawyer about back in 2012. And for the last 10 years, I was working as a full-time attorney. And a few years back, I started realizing that, and I started questioning to myself, is this the lifestyle that I wanted to pursue? Essentially, I was trading my time for money. My time was commodity. And then, just to achieve some sort of financial freedom, I didn't have clear idea as to what the financial freedom means back then. So I was just going to, let's just become a partner and then maybe open my own firm. I don't know what's going to be there, but let's keep pushing myself. So just I try to enjoy that part of process, but soon realized there's no end. I was just kept trading my time. Right. So I started questioning what is it out there that I don't know about? And that's around when I stumbled upon the book Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad and Poor Dad. And then after reading that, funny, I had the book for over 10 years, never read it. Can you believe it? But for some reason, I took it from the shelf and I read it cover to cover. And then I realized, you know what, I got to move my viewpoint from being an employee or self-employed to being a businessman and an investor. So I slowly started that transaction. And then that's when I tried a little bit of REITs, mutual funds and whatnot. Nothing really thrilled me until then. And then I stumbled upon multifamily real estate. And the very first 2 people that I listened to from podcast and the YouTube video was Michael Blanc. And especially what touched me from one of his episodes was, I don't know which one, but he said before being an apartment investor, he used to be a single family flipper, right, for successfully. And then he ran some restaurants, I believe that too. But then when he came to a multifamily, his years of experience as a single family flipper didn't really mean much to people who are in multifamily. He had to start all over again. And he said, looking back, if he could, he would have just jumped right into the multifamily and then started the journey. So listening to that, and I told myself, you know what, if that guy who is successful in real estate, multifamily, is telling that, I think probably that he has a point. Maybe I should just start with multifamily directly. So I literally did not look below 10 units, and I decided to go with something like 12 or 16-ish. And another guy I listened to was Grant Cardone. He said, don't even bother looking below 16 units, right? So these 2 guys are saying that. You know what? I think it's okay. I don't have to start with single or duplex. So with that in mind, I purchased Michael Blank's apartment syndication deal analyzer, right? Special kudos to him is that deal analyzer really got me into understand the underlying process of what syndication really is when it comes to structuring and analyzing it, right? His analyzer is easy to understand, and the videos that he recorded for those who purchased it was easy to understand, and I was able to follow the step. And then, that's how I got into a multifamily syndication at the beginning, right?
That's so great. It's so awesome that you also brought up Grant Cardone, because I'm also in his network as well. And he's always go bigger, and
Mhm,
this. So good
mhm.
for you jumped right into multifamily. So many people kind of migrate from different sectors, whether it's flipping or wholesaling or whatever it might be. So I'm
Mhm.
happy that you were able to just get right in with the good stuff. That's
Right, right.
wonderful.
If you just hear what they say, just for that statement only, like you got to go big, without knowing what he really means by that, then it might sound like, oh, because it's easy for you to say.
Yeah,
But
right. You're just like, it's easier for you. You're
right,
already, a billionaire. Yeah.
right. But what he really means, like Michael Blanks, all other people who are doing a multifamily, is understand that it's doable. It just needs to work, and it takes a lot longer, and it takes to form the team. And as long as you know what you're doing, it is doable. That's what he meant.
I'm going to rewind really quick. You mentioned the value of masterminds, and I try to educate my colleagues, my community, of how important it is to be mentored in a mastermind. So how would you say, one, that has helped you, and what would you say to people who are in the beginning stages of discovering this sector, how the masterminds can accelerate them? Because they see, I think, the cost of it or what's entailed, and they just want to walk away. I would love to hear you
Mhm.
elaborate on that.
Sure. I have a great short story about that. So
Let's hear it.
when
We love stories.
right when I was still on the fence of whether I should join the mastermind or mentors program or not, I spoke to many different people on biggerpockets.com about mentors program. And I'm not sure how many, but more than 20 people. About 80% of the people told me, Yosef, look, by spending 20, 30, 40 grands, what you're going to be learning is out there for free. Like, it's on the YouTube video. You can listen to podcasts, buy 10, 20 bucks, spend 10, 20 bucks to buy a book and read it. And you're going to be essentially learning the same thing. Why don't you spend 20, 30, $40,000 as a down payment and buy a property and actually do the work and then learn? I'm like, this guy's, that's a point, right? It's a legitimate reasoning, right? Not to join. Okay, all right, let me speak to other people. And then there were 20% of people who told me that's Yosef joined. You're gonna meet amazing people. It's gonna expedite your journey, and you will have a great mentors who, as a fallback, you can always go and ask their experience, wisdom, and all that, right? So I said, okay, this guy's have also point. And then I had a moment of, just going through the due diligence of myself, and then ended up deciding to join the mastermind based on two reasons. One, by then I had already decided to go big multifamily. So saving 20, 30, 40 grand for down payment is not going to work. Right? We're talking about million dollar properties, and that's nothing. Second of all, I look these people, and all the people who are closing the big multifamily deals are from this 20% of the group, not this 80% of the group. I'm like, why do I listen to you when they're saying, when the closers are telling me that I should join, right? And then I started realizing the language that they were using, how the 80% of people were using, it's essentially same thing, free. It's a free material. You could learn it. Why do you waste your money? Things like that, as opposed to the language that this 20% of the group was using was, you're going to meet amazing people and network, and the experience, you will expedite. You see the difference, right? So to me, that was what kind of touched me. Like, okay, essentially their mindsets are too different, And I realized after joining the group, it is true. My mindset was aligned with this 20% of people. And the more I dealt with other people through networking, I just can't be partnering up with this 80% of people, because essentially we're talking a different language.
Absolutely phenomenal, because I always tell people, and I'm sure people have heard me say this before, if you're the smartest person in the room, if you're the most successful person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Oh, yes.
You're in the wrong room. I'm telling you, because I could speak personally too. I am part of Brad Sumrock's Millionaire Multifamily Investors. I'm part of Grant Cardone's. I'm part of Michael Blanc's. There's Rod Khalif's Warriors programs. And it truly accelerates and cuts the time down for you to be successful. And the more successful you are, the more you can give back to your community and any passion projects that you have. So you don't listen to people who aren't doing this, you guys. Stop talking to your friends and family that have not done this journey. Talk to the people who are successful in this journey, okay? And
Exactly.
now, to elaborate on that, you brought up the money mindset. So many people live in a world of scarcity and feel like if I'm super successful, then the other person's not going to be. How did you get comfortable talking about money? Because we're talking about millions of dollars here. How did you get comfortable having those conversations?
Right. Yeah, you touched it upon a good point, because coming from an Asian background where talking about money is kind of taboo, even among the families, right? And also having a Christian background where, we don't really talk about money. Making
Right. They
money,
think it's
money
rude.
is right,
Yeah.
right. And it is true that I had a hard time to justifying talking about money in public with friends. And I think the idea I had was like, why? Like, if you focus on why, not focusing on the money in and of itself, then you see the light. Like, oh, okay, money is just a tool, right? If you are just chasing the money for the sake of making it, I think essentially you're losing the purpose. You're not gonna be able to fulfill your goal. But you got to see the money as a stepping stone or goalpost for the next goal towards the vision, and as a tool tool for you to be able to realize your other goals and whys and visions. Then now you can proudly talk about how you're successfully reaching your goals, and then the money kind of comes to me as a reward. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. 110% completely. And so you also touched on purpose and not only doing this for the money. So that being said, because that's what I've also noticed, if you're only chasing it for the money, when it gets hard, you're going to walk. So what is your purpose? What do you see for you, for Yosef, Lee, and your two daughters, 5-10 years from now? What keeps you driving?
So I have three whys I time to time share. First why is about myself. So you got to be healthy yourself and stand firmly so that you could be able to take care of your next tier, who is your direct family, and then next tier, who is your friends and other people, right? So I don't believe in helping other people when you're miserable, because you're going to be toxic and you're not essentially not going to help them. So you got to be healthy and your mindset to be able to help others. So first, my why is about getting better 1% every day. So it's about progress towards God knows when, but every day, if I could like stop and look back what I did, and then realize, okay, I was progressing a little by little, even if there's no like exponential growth, I'm okay. That's one of my whys. Second is about my kids, right? Being able to provide something that's sustainable, regardless of what they want to do, right? In the end, well, I mean, people call it like a legacy or generational wealth, which is great. I don't know how far this can go after generation and generation. I remember Alex Morgi I don't know if you know him. He said he doesn't care about generational wealth because like after a couple generations, they're gonna forget about me, right? So I
Yes.
thought about that too. Initially, I was thinking about creating generational wealth, but after hearing that, which is so true, like I don't even know about my grandfather's name, right? So I decided to have the idea of my generational wealth is up to my grandkids. As long as I could take care of my grandkids, that's fine. But I want to make sure I teach my kid so that they could take care of up to their grandkids, and then so forth and so forth, so that eventually that ripple effect could sustain the generational wealth idea, but I don't have to think about like 5 generations down the road, right? And lastly, the third why is being able to influence other people around me in a positive way. A lot of times I make mistakes and that hurt people. And I learned a lesson and got up and move on, right? So it's unavoidable as a human being to not to make mistake. But as long as I learn a lesson, get up and move on and make sure that mistake doesn't happen again. And I think you're progressing. And through that, you can influence in a positive way to other people. So these are my three whys that I share time to time.
What tools do you recommend for people to manage your time, and how do
Mhm.
you make sure you're spending quality time with your kids? And how old are your kids?
My kids are both are daughters, 10 and 12. They just
Oh,
turned 10 and 12 last week, 10, and a
happy
few weeks
birthday
ago.
to them. You should
Thank
give them
you,
a shout
thank you.
out. What are their names?
Yes, Talia and Adia.
Talia and Adia. I like it. Happy
Love them
belated
so
birthday,
much.
ladies.
Thank you, thank you. So being a parent is busy job in and of itself, full time. And then I spend my nights and weekends for multifamily. What's essential to me is to-do list. I'm obsessed with creating to-do lists and prioritization and time blocking. These are three things that I use to try to manage my time. Essentially, everyone has 24 hours only, right? We don't have more than that. So I learned if there's absolutely important thing that you gotta do, never push away, but do time blocking so that is anchored. You don't uh compromise that. It's there. And then do to-do lists. But my to-do list is really long. I'm sure yours is really long. And I know sometimes when I make a to-do list, I'm not gonna finish that in a day. So I have like daily, weekly, and monthly, and like a yearly to-do lists. And then time to time I move around by prioritization. But being able to do that essentially moves me forward and makes me to make a speedy execution, right? So if you're good at making a speedy execution and making a decision, an informed decision in a quick manner, great, utilize all these things. But if you're not good at that yet, then having sometimes too much to-do list will hinder you from actually taking any actions. So you got to know yourself, whether like what type of time management style works for you. So try many different things and then learn from that. So it's a process, right? It's a as you do this repeatedly, you will learn about yourself because not everybody is the same. So for me, to-do list, prioritization, and this the time blocking works. And then another thing that I started utilizing is delegating works to VAs, right? Which was really hard in the beginning because I'm a control freak.
Me
I don't want to
too.
like even the decisions that could be easily done by others. I gotta be on top of it and ask follow-up questions like, was it done? Was it done? What's done? And finally, I'm still not there yet. And finally, I was letting go of certain decisions. I realized how much time that I was able to earn back. Right. So I'm still in the process of doing that, giving up some controls and authorities for the things that I don't really have to worry about. And then
Elaborate on that, because virtual assistants are huge. I probably get reached out to a few times a day, if not 5 to 7 times a week. I
Mhm.
know it's been recommended to me. What do you recommend that people delegate to virtual assistants, and what do you recommend that people just delete off their to-do list completely in order,
Mhm.
because I always believe in feed your focus, starve your distraction. So
Mhm.
help us understand, if we were to get a VA, how
Mhm.
did you decide what to provide to them?
So first, I didn't give him any work, but for a month, yeah, for a month, I told him to just go through my social media, just listen to what I say, just watch me what I do, and try to mimic the way I respond to certain emails, the way I manage my own social media, the way I comment, the words that I'm using, the emojis that I'm using, things like that, so that he can learn and mimic myself, right? Because my thing was this: I want them to think like me. I mean, it's impossible to think like me 100%, but at least if I give them certain tasks, I want them to uh, act upon it the way I respond to it, right? So that when they bring to me at least 50, 60, 70% of the work, if that was done the way I would have done it, then that's the point where I could kind of give up that much of control on a certain topic. So with him, so this VA with him, we started making certain like a manual for Yosef's VA, right? And then because for the future VA has to follow that rule too. So we have a manual as to certain things, what Yosef to do, not to do, do's and don'ts for Yosef, right? And it's great because that VA can train the next one. I don't have to train, because a lot of times I give up on doing or delegating something because thinking about the time that I have to spend to train that person to do the things. So I want to make sure that, because it's an investment of my time, I want to make sure my time is spent wisely and well by thorough training and not making any repeated mistakes from their end. So I that's how I approached the VA training in the beginning, and now it's working finally.
Phenomenal. Are you guys getting what he's throwing down here, y'all? Like, this is gold, because I've been on the fence with the VA. I'm like, how the hell do I know? But I want to lose control of, right? And so I do know we're almost at the top of the 30 minutes, but there's still a couple more questions. You still have about 5 more minutes of your time.
Already?
Is that okay?
Of
Okay, good.
course.
So you're not even watching. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I'm not even counting, man.
Okay, beautiful. Because then I think there's probably like 3 more questions I really
Sure.
wanted to ask you for our audience. So you mentioned social media, okay, and I have a love hate with social media, okay. So I know the importance of it, and I do feel it's important for people to see you on a personal mind, because people like to do business, they know, like, and trust, okay. So how do you manage your own social media, and two, how do you decide what the content is? Obviously you want to provide value, but you're so busy, how are you managing your social media yourself as well?
Hmm.
And how
So
important is that,
social
in this
media
world?
is absolutely critical. It's been critical to my journey. So people in the beginning around me, right? They don't get the concept of multifamily investing in New York City, right? When it comes to real estate, it's more about, I mean, on our level, not institutional money level, right? Us individual play, it's about buying a single family duplex, sits on it, crazy appreciation. Couple years down the road, you make money, sell it, and you make chunk of money, pay chunk of tax. Uh, yeah, that's it. Like, it's transactional, right? So when I was introducing the concept of multifamily out of state, like 30, 20, 30, 40 people could buy the entire apartment complex together for cash flow, was kind of foreign. So they wouldn't listen to me. And second, I'm an attorney. Like, what do I know about real estate investing? Like, they were like, Yosef, since when you invested in this multifamily real estate? Never seen it, right? So in the beginning, I tried to convince them how beneficial it is and all that. But after about 6 months, I gave up. Like, you know what? I'll give up. Just watch me what I do. Right. And when was it? That was throughout the pandemic. Right. And I was doing a lot of networking calls, being connected. That social media just fired that up. Like the process of being connected to other multifamily investors, being able to show to people around me what I do. Otherwise, how would they know throughout the pandemic? We're not really interacting. And for them to be able to watch me closing the first deal, being on the social media, seeing the comments, reading the comments, they don't like the post, right? You know that they don't like,
Yeah.
but they still watch. They're like, oh, what is this, right? And then after a couple of months, they reached out to me like, hey, Yosef, so what is this? Multifamily real estate you say you do? Like, can you explain that more to me? That was so much easier for me to like explain things because they already did their part. Like they watched me, they see, because they need time to digest something that kind of new to them, right? But they keep, if so, I call it PPP, persistent projection of certain perception becomes reality. So by looking at someone's social media, even if you don't follow, you don't like, if it just keeps popping up on your social media feed, that person starting becoming a legit. I don't know if you understand. Like,
Yes, sir.
I see it. Why? So I get a lot of this. Like, why am I Yosef? A lot of people reached out to me, Yosef, who are you? Like, why am I seeing you all of a sudden, like everywhere I go? Because that's when I started just posting, not only Facebook, I started posting at the same time. I had to listen to Gary Vee, Facebook, story, LinkedIn, Insta, same content all across the different platforms. Because I remember listening to one of his episode. He said, you got to be ubiquitous. Like you got to be everywhere. You know why? Because not all your friends are everywhere. Some people are just on Facebook, some are just on LinkedIn, some are just on Insta. How can you make sure that your content is being seen by everybody, like without your being everywhere, right? So that I took that advice, and that's still until now is the truth. Like I try to, if I get a one content, I try to put it all across all the platforms, so people so that I can make sure people get to see me, right? And the contents comes to, like in the beginning, I was really having a hard time creating, like starting even, because like, oh, what if they say this? What if they don't like this? But it's also Gary Vee. Like I really love the guy. He
Yes.
said, stop trying to create something, just trying to document your journey. So that's when I just started, you know what, let's just put out there what I do. Like the people that I'm meeting, screenshots, the deals that I'm closing, screenshots with my partners, and explaining about the deals, the things that I learned, the mistakes that I made, just those kind of thing. And then another thing I learned from, this is my mentor and partner, Marco Barbaro. It's like, don't try to differentiate you and business, right? You and family and business are like, it's got to be all mixed up. Why? Because people want to do business with like kind, right? Like if I'm somebody who has a family, okay, I have a family, right? I'm married and family. Then you want to do business with somebody who's married and have a family, as opposed to some younger businessman who's solo and loves to go out to party, right? So that's the take on I had. So I started putting like 20-30% of personal stuff and family, and then about 70-80% of business. It just perfectly worked. People that I met through business loved the personal side. People I met, like my friends, loved the business side, but a little more business, because I want the business to grow. And so I started doing that. My personal name became the business brand, which affected my business as well. And summing up, social media was just that much important to me, all my network, all my meetings, and the great, amazing people that I met all through social media. They reached out to me, I reached out to them, got on a call, got on a, we discussed, we formed amazing friendship and partnership.
I love it. I love it. And I feel like I say, I love it like all the time, but because everybody I talk to are such high caliber, and people have asked me, well, why don't you have a professional platform and something personal? And I always tell them no, because what you see is what you get. I feel you should have something that is one platform. It has something personal, it has your lifestyle, and it has something professional,
Mhm.
all encompassing into one. They want to see the holistic view of you, not just one part of you. We want to see all of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So I
Mhm.
love that you said that. And I love how you advise, because my husband always tells me a ninja never announces their moves. Okay.
True.
Yeah. Because you want to tell people what you're doing and you're excited about your journey. But as you have spoke on, once you started sharing this content and documenting what you were doing, people came to you. I want to hear, so two questions. One, what would you say to people who are on the fence and getting into this journey? And two, give me a word or a phrase that sums up your journey, either present, past, or future.
So first, to those people who are still on the fence, I think it always comes with the mindset first, like trying to sit down and ask why you're on the fence. What's preventing you, right? A lot of times people don't know. I remember reading this from Robert Kiyosaki's book. People do not, I don't know if he said become wealthy or rich or take actions, because their fear of failure is stronger than their desire to succeed. Then they don't take any act, they don't try. So I think when you're sitting on a fence, I think there must be something that's holding you back. So you got to figure out what and how you can overcome. But this is only be able to found through exercise. You gotta, what I did was actually I started writing down left and right pros and cons of certain things before taking this journey. And I had strong desire to be able to create this passive income stream, right? So do that, do the exercise, and come up with a clear why before taking a journey, right? Don't wait to be motivated, because motivation is emotion. I believe emotion withers away over time. You got to have a clear why, and that's not emotion. It's knowing your why and purpose is about clarity, not a motivation, emotion up, right? So do that, and it will really help for you to like take on your journey. And one word that I could sum up my past, present, and future, I would say progress. It's all about progress, just being better tomorrow. Being better means a lot. It could be being a morally better person, being religious, more religious towards I believe in Christ and God. So towards that, or becoming being good at what I do, like skill sets and in my job, being a lawyer, and also being a real estate investor, being better at underwriting, being a better father, being a better friends, partner. It sums up everything, but progress, because I believe there's no status quo. You don't maintain your status unless you progress, you deteriorate. So that's the word I wanna throw out there.
Yosef Lee, everybody, you are priceless. You are priceless. And I feel I have taken so much gold from you, so many amazing nuggets that you have dropped. And every interview that I have done, I've had my mind opened up in some way, shape, or form. So you are absolutely phenomenal. I've learned a lot of information. I've taken so many notes, as I always
Oh,
do on these. I always take notes, and then I'll go back and I'll re-listen to this, because you're just absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to one day, meet you in person, because it sounds like you're in a lot of the similar events and whatnot that I'm at. So how can people connect with you? What are your social handles? What is your website? How do people get a hold of Yosef Lee if they want to collaborate with you?
So as I said, I'm trying to be very active on social media. So I have only one social media handle. It's Yosef, your brosef. So YOSEF, YOURBROSEF. People call me brosef. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta, TikTok, you name it. My website is yosefyourbrosef.com or thebrosef.com. I bought both. So just reach out to me, send me a DM and say, hey, Yosef, let's get on a call to network. You will hit me.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you, Yosef, so much. Thank you for spending time with me today and the Michael Blanc team. You guys go connect with Yosef. He is gold, pure gold. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Brooke. I enjoyed our conversation thoroughly, and I learned even being interviewed. I learned and like being very grateful about this. So thank you very much.
Yes, I appreciate you. I look forward to meeting you.
Likewise.
And we'll break bread. Break bread and a brew or a coffee.
Yes.
I will travel for food. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.